It's about 2 o'clock on Tuesday. It's the first day of the winds that we were expecting. I'll share a little bit inside and then I'll take you outside just a little bit. But you can start to see some of the little whitecaps in the bay. Here is where we are in our anchor circle. And we are here at the back of our little section where we have been on the other windy Norte days. Yesterday it settled out a little bit and we ended up spending some time here. But at that point, Pippin, the little boat that's right in front of us here, of course, the wind settled out for them too, and so they were farther up. So we all moved relatively similarly, so that part is good. But now we're just back to where we were during the windiest part of our stay here. The winds have settled out at the moment, 13 knots, look at that. But we have a 21 knot 10-minute average, and there's your 20 knots, and 26 knots, 28 as these little gusts blow through. So it's been like this for a while now. Oh. And 32, well, that's really fun. And
32 knots of wind, pretty impressive when it's coming over this hill to get to us.
Yeah, exactly.
From the north.
I want to open this door here.
Before you go, Rose.
I wasn't going to go far.
Let people know.
Yes.
If you show Pippin.
That's this little sailboat right in front of us.
And we use our trusty rangefinder here. I can see that Pippin is 83 yards away, about 250 feet. And our gray sailboat over here is 85 yards away. So almost the exact same distance away.
Yep.
Interesting to note, the gray sailboat I think might be lighter weight, but boy does he whip around almost in a full 180 in this wind, and he bounces way forward, and he's moving all over the place over there.
Yeah, it must be quite a ride.
But it's all good
for them. Let's see
Are you going to go brave the wind?
I don't know. I was just going to look out the window.
Open the door. Brave the wind. Don't drop the camera.
Of course not. Look at what I wanted to point out is, let's see if I can do this with a little bit of a break from the door behind me. Notice the haze, if you will, in the view of the mountains. You can't really see the mountains, and I think it is sand. I'm not sure, but yesterday when we were on shore, the tender just got inundated with sand, and it wasn't even a terribly windy day. Okay, here we go. We're going to wander out here. Sea Venture's moving around quite a bit too, and we are one very heavy boat. Woo! Look at our little friend here, just moving all around. But everybody's still tucked in. Nobody's dragging that we can tell. It all looks really pretty good. And out here is Isla San Francisco, and you can't hardly see it again for that haze. Let's see if I can try and zoom in a little bit. Whoops. That might have been a lot. Let's try that again. Right about there. Yeah, pretty wild. And the weather, really did show up just when it was expected to. Oh, here we are. We're going this way. Look at the chafe on our line. Well, we're going to have to work on getting a new bridle. This might be a 1 anchorage bridle. Woo! There you have it. The wind has kicked up and we have 2 more days of this. Okay, fast forward 10, maybe 15 minutes. Jim's catching his breath.
Ooh, what fun.
I showed you the bridle that was chafing and came inside, and we had a short discussion about how to address that. And what did we decide, Jim?
We decided Jim was going to go for a swim. So I jumped in the water and we added a second line for now. But clearly our temporary bridle is not up to snuff. But since our main one broke back in Ensenada Grande. And people would ask, by the way, in the last couple of videos about the bridle. It was like 20 years old, so it just wore out. But clearly we need to rebuild it completely. And the way it is right now is not good. But we got a second 1-inch line on there now. So there's 2 of them up there, and hopefully that will hold until it calms down enough we can actually lift the bridle. There's no way to pull the bridle up now without starting the engines and driving forward on it and holding the boat in position in this wind, which would be difficult. So we got the second line in there. When the weather calms down and we can pull the bridle up, then we can try to add a chafe guard in there in the middle where that was rubbing through. That's the best I know to do. In the meantime, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see. 20 knots or something like that.
24. Still a 20 knot 10-minute average. So it has been definitely blowing. So
a little salty, the water.
Yeah, I'm sure you've had a fair
I just jumped in at the swim step, swam up there, fed the line through, gave the other end to Rosie on a boat hook, and swam back to the back of the boat and got out. But pretty choppy to swim around in.
Yep.
Rosie showed you the alarm, the anchor alarm on our navigation system that tells us very accurately if sea venture moves at all. But what it doesn't tell us is if one of these other boats, and especially like the sailboat that's directly in front of us, what happens if they start to drag? And there's not much I can do about that. But how do I track these other boats? And can I track these other boats? And yes, we can on Sea Venture. It's one of the benefits of, I think, the lithium batteries and having good power. And that's simply here. And that is while we're sitting here at anchor, we can have the radar running the whole time if we want. So that's the boat directly in front of us. There's the sailboat over here, the gray sailboat, and the island packet over here off our port side. These 3 targets, I've only got it set at 1/8 of a mile. And this little green circle, I don't know if you can see it on the computer, but I've got a circle around there. And if anything comes inside this little inner circle at all, an alarm goes off. So we don't have to sit here and monitor the radar, but if we want and we're concerned about the other boats in the anchorage dragging in all this wind, we can leave the radar running and it'll come alive with an alarm you can hear all over the boat if any boat moves into that range of it. And I've got it actually right outside of how far this boat here is away from us. I think they were both about 85 yards away, 200 and some feet, 250 feet or so. So that's what we can do in a lot of wind in a busy anchorage. We can know ourselves whether we move at all, and we can track if any other boat around Sea Venture moves at all in the wind.
Good morning. We still have some pretty good winds this morning here in San Evaristo in the bay, as expected, and we are continuing our project in the back. The cats are banned from the back of the boat, and they have to stay here in the main part of the boat in the salon so that we can avoid any cat hair back here. We now have primer down everywhere where we're going to have the all grip paint, and we're getting ready to put our first coat of paint on, which will include painting the, is it bulwarks? Anyway, the sides here that are all beat up. So we're going to have paint going around the edges, and then we'll have a cross hatch of paint here and running this way here. And then the rest will be filled with kiwi, non-skid. And of course we have our little section outside that door over there. So anyway, next step is painting. All right, with all the shadows. But we do have our second coat of paint, of our all grip paint on here. And now we are taking the tender and heading into town. And we're gonna let this dry and stay and disturb it as little as possible. We're doing a little shopping excursion, so we're on the beach. Sea Venture's out there. It was about 10 knots sustained, but boy, it feels like it's a little bit more now. I was gonna say when we left the boat. It feels like it's a little more now. We just put the tender in the water. We beached it with the anchor buddy. We're doing the anchor buddy off the bow so that it's facing into the waves and the wind. Remember, we had some wheels on it and we've kind of crushed them and killed them. We need some heavier duty wheels, so that's not going to work. But right now she's going for a ride, but she's holding steady and her nose is into the wind, which is just how we need her to be. So anyway, now we're going to go do a little shopping. Here are our treasures from our produce run. We got tomatoes, lettuce, cucumber, peppers, cabbage, zucchini, carrots, cilantro, potatoes, avocado, onion, and last but not least, limes. And I think I didn't pay attention, but I think Jim said it was about $25 for all of it. Sweet. Now that the winds have settled down, a lot of boats have departed. There were probably 8 or 9 or 10 boats over there not long ago. Just last night even. But this morning boats are heading out and starting to explore more of the Sea of Cortez. We're going to stick around one more day. We have gotten the second coat of all grip down on the floors and the deck on the walls back here. So today we are going to mask off and get the kiwi grip down and finish this project, which will be a really good deal. And tomorrow hopefully we'll head off again.
The final step has arrived. The walls are all repainted. The edges and coves are all built up. There's all grip white strip painted down both ends. And now all the masking is done. Ready for the kiwi grip with all the appropriate radiuses in place. So now it's going to be a matter of kiwi gripping. And the hatch actually is all done in kiwi gripped. It's in the engine room. We did it last night in the engine room. But we got the masking all done this morning over the 2 layers of primer and 2 layers of finish coat on the all grip. So what you see is blue will be white when we're done. And what is resin and fiberglass and gel coat will be the kiwi grip. So we're about ready to start this final step. We'll run another walk. We walked over to the salt flats here again in San Evaristo, but this time we walked around them to come to the North Beach here.
This is Agate Beach.
Yep, it's breezy today, but not nearly as windy as it has been. The back deck is, we'll show you when we get back to the boat. It's almost done. It's done and it looks beautiful until we ran out of kiwi grip. If you remember in San Jose del Cabo, I redid those side decks. Not enough kiwi grip to finish the back, so it looks beautiful until one spot, then undone, and who knows when we'll be able to get kiwi grip, but it's okay, it looks great. Tomorrow I think we'll be on our way from San Evaristo. Been here for a good while working on the deck and waiting for all these Nortes, but almost all the boats cleared out of the anchorage today. Just a few of us left.
Beautiful scenery out here. Looking forward to head north. Here are the salt flats from the beach side. We walked along the beach. We found a cute little cemetery with a fabulous view there at the end of the beach. And now we're coming along the salt flats again. And here you can see they have kind of scraped the salt into piles.
So here's the almost finished back decks. Here. I say almost finished because if you remember yesterday I mentioned we were short some kiwi grip, so we have a small section over here not done. And in reality, if you look close, you realize it does need a second coat. So when we get more kiwi grip, we'll be able to finish. Otherwise, it is dead calm this morning in San Evaristo, and it is time to go cruising. So we have been here a long time. I'm not even sure how many days, but Rosie and I were talking about yesterday. We believe we've been in this anchorage longer than we've ever stayed anchored in one spot in our 30 years of cruising. So, San Evaristo's been great. We got the back deck done. We waited for like 3 different Nortes to blow through. But it's time to go cruising.
We are now leaving San Evaristo after 9 nights at anchor here. A really long time. 2 boats are left, and those 2 were with us during the storm, or during the Nortes. So yeah, we're one of 3 of the last boats, and now there's only 2. So San Evaristo was a great spot and a great place to hide out for the Nortes, and now it's time to move on. But while you're at it, check out the Sierra de la Giganta mountain range. It is spectacular.